When I first came here, there was no laser and no treatment for diabetics. And I have colleagues in Dar es Salaam, and they were the first people to also set up laser treatment for diabetics there. And we've found that once people know that you can do something, that there's a huge unmet need. And so a great deal of our time is spent trying to laser people to prevent blindness from diabetic retinopathy.
You told me that the incidence of diabetic retinopathy or diabetes is much greater in this population?
It is. It depends on the part of the country that you visit. If you go to a very rural part of the country where people are working all day in the field and exercising very hard, it'll be quite low. But in a semi-rural population or semi-urban population like Moshi, or particularly in the big towns like Mwanza and Dar es Salaam, where people have got much more sedentary jobs, their diets have changed, they're far more likely to get diabetes, and more likely even than a European.
What are the opportunities for people to be treated for diabetic retinopathy in Tanzania?
They are very few and far between. Basically, there are two places. There's here in Moshi, Kilimanjaro, and there's Dar es Salaam. And so you have a huge city like Mwanza, which is the second biggest city in Tanzania, doesn't have an ophthalmologist who can diagnose retinopathy, and doesn't have any way of screening the patients, and there's certainly nobody who can treat them. And that's one of the priority areas that we want to look at. How can we set up perhaps some telemedicine, get some photographs taken of the diabetics, and then we can go there and treat them. The best way to screen people is with a fundus camera. It's the most accurate, and it gives you the best follow-up. If you try and do it with an ophthalmoscope, you have to be very well trained. If you do it with a direct ophthalmoscope, even a well-trained person can't achieve the results that a camera can.
And with a camera, how much is a camera?
The camera, I believe, for screening diabetic retinopathy is around $20,000 to $25,000.
And what kind of a catchment area, how many people would that serve?
I believe we could serve Kilimanjaro region, which is 1.5 million with one camera, and certainly Mwanza with another. When you find the patients, you have to be able to treat them. There's no point in looking for patients unless you can treat them. And to treat them, you need a laser. We have lasers here, Dar es Salaam has lasers, but a city like Mwanza doesn't.
And that has 1.5 million people.
It does. So its laser would be busy almost every day once a screening program was set up.
And how much is a laser?
They're around $40,000. So
$40,000, but that would treat people in a city the size of 1.5 million.
It would. And they're very robust and they last for years. So we've had our laser for over 8 years, and I think it's had one service and it's still going well.
And these people would otherwise eventually go blind.
They do. And one of the problems is that they get sent to me very late when they've already noticed a problem, when they've had a lot of hemorrhage, or when they've got a detachment that occurs because the scar tissue is pulling their retina off. And I then spend hours trying to put that back. And I would love to stop operating on diabetic eyes.
No kidding. Well, thank you.
You can do that with laser.
Thanks for making the time in your busy schedule. Thanks, Anthony.